Hi there, I am Miss Julie from the Byron Township branch of Kent District Library. And this way, this is my friend, Joy.
Hi, friends. I'm Joyanne, and I work with the bookmobile. I drive it around to neighborhoods. It's good
So
to be
much
here today.
fun. Oh, I would love to come with you someday.
That would be
Well, we're
fun.
here today to share some of our favorite new picture books and early readers. Do you want to start us off, Joanne?
I can, absolutely. So, my first book is Pete the Cat
Oh,
Making New Friends.
sorry.
That's okay. And Pete the Cat in this story, this is a first comic book, and it's by Kimberly and James Dean, who make all of the Pete the Cat stories. So I love this because at the very beginning of the book, it talks about how to read a comic book. So, what do I read first, the image or the text? Or why is the word balloon shaped this way or shaped that way? And why is the character making a specific kind of facial expression? And all of those things help us to understand the context and how to read the comic books. And so the pages and the illustrations are set up so it's like a comic. And then Agent Meow, which is Pete the Cat's character, helps his new friend Squirrel find people and friends in the story and how to do the things that they all enjoy and find his own unique and special activity that he enjoys because the squirrel can't do things quite the way everybody else does them, but he can do them his own way. Like instead of doing ballet, he can do tap dancing, but it's still a form of dancing. So it's just a fun little story about friendship and finding your own talents and celebrating them. I'm going to get it into here. Making new friends, Pete the Cat.
Who doesn't love Pete the Cat, right?
Right.
Right? I love Pete the Cat too, for sure. Well, I have two stories to share with you today. The first one is called Emma Every Day by C.L. Reed, illustrated by Elena Aiello. Emma and her friend Izzy decide to join the soccer team, but Izzy's really struggling to keep up. But her friends really encourage her and help her practice and help Izzy persevere. And it's really a great story of friendship. But the thing is, the other thing I really love about this series is that sort of a secondary piece of it is Emma is a girl who happens to be hearing impaired. And so, as you see right on the cover there, you can see Emma is spelled out in American Sign Language. And right at the beginning of the book, you're able to learn all the letters of the alphabet using American Sign. Now, throughout the story, there are a lot of places where it teaches you how to sign certain words or phrases. And I love that because I have never been good at languages. And so I love the fact that I get to practice as I read the story. The second one I have today it's also an I Can Read comics called Friendbots Blink and Block Make a Wish by Vicki Fang. Now, the story starts out, this is a story that as much of the story is told in the pictures as it is in the words. And it starts out with Blink and Block, who both go to, are robots who go to Bot Elementary. And at the beginning, clearly Block is feeling kind of lonely. But then Blink appears, and Blink is treasure hunting, looking for gold. Now, they never do end up finding gold, but they do find a bunch of other things, and especially they find friendship along the way. And one of the things I love about this book is there's just pure silliness in it. I mean, who doesn't love silly, right? Right?
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure.
So, Blink and Block, make a wish.
I love your first story. Both of them sound amazing, but I love your first one with Emma and
Yeah,
the sign language that's included
absolutely.
on the pages. That's so fun. Yeah,
It just adds so much to the story. It's just such a
it
fun
does.
element of the
That's
book.
terrific. Absolutely. The next one I have is another I Can Read comics, and it's Fish and Sun by Sergio Ruzier. And in this book, Fish lives underwater, and he tells his mom that I'm bored. And so Fish decides that he doesn't care about breakfast and doesn't care about the things going on under the water. He wants to go up to the surface and see what's going on. And so goes up to the surface, and it's kind of dark and dreary and also boring. Nothing is happening in this world that he inhabits. And then something exciting comes up over the horizon, and it ends up being the sun. So this story is about fish and sun and how they get to know one another's places in the world. Like the sun does so much to bring us light and warmth, and the water is important too. It's a way for us to keep cool and have the right hydration, and so it's a story about friendship and using your imagination to understand the world around you and not be bored. And so it's just a neat little comic book that brings those ideas to the forefront as well. So it's Fish and Sun.
I love that because we're all interrelated, aren't we?
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I am going to veer back to silly a bit. We have the next one I have is the always entertaining Mo Willems in Guess What. Now, I had you with the mention of Mo Willems, didn't I? But this story doesn't include a pigeon or a piggy or elephant. This has a whole slew of squirrels. And the focus is on Zoom Squirrel. He was so excited because he's going on a beach vacation. And even though the vacation doesn't turn out exactly like he planned, he's still able to see the greatness about it, see some positive things in it. And the story also includes at the end, in typical Mo Willems style, it includes jokes and beach facts, and there's even a going to the beach song, including the lyrics and the music. So if you play an instrument or know someone who does, you can play along and sing the going to the beach song right along with Zoom Squirrel. Keeping up with a silly theme, I have a book here by David LaRochelle, illustrated by Mike Wonautka. This is called See the Dog. Now, David LaRochelle also wrote a book called See the Cat, which I have not read, but I am going to now because this one just made me laugh all the way through. If you have a dog or a cat, you might understand that they are completely different. So the book is called See the Dog, and the dog is supposed to demonstrate some of the things a dog would do. But since dog is sick, cat steps in for him and tries to dig a hole like a dog would, and jump in the lake and swim like a dog would, and protect the sheep like a dog would. Doesn't turn out quite the way it would with a dog, however. It just kept me chuckling all the way through. So if you like a good chuckle, read See the Dog by David LaRochelle.
Those sound so fun. I just love the idea of having the animals swap. So instead of it being the dog, it's the cat trying to do things like the dog, because of course they do things very different.
They do, just like humans. I mean, we all couldn't,
Yeah.
We can try to fill in for somebody, but we're not going to do it quite the way someone
Not
else would do.
quite the same.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So
Not at all.
I think you've got some picture books to share with us next.
I do. So I want to start with this one. It's called Invasion of the Unicorns, and it's by David Biedrzycki. And I just love this one. This is a new one to our collection. And I have a daughter who has always loved anything glittery and unicorn. And so I just had to pick this one up and read it. And it is so much fun. In this story, there is a planet that is all unicorns. And so they're trying to decide if they're going to visit Earth and invade Earth with these unicorns. And so they send a unicorn to Earth in order to investigate and kind of spy to see if Earth is going to be a good place for them. And so the unicorn comes down, and it goes into one of those claw machines where you have to put money in and then you try to grab a stuffed animal. And so throughout the book, you're enjoying the unicorn's observations about what humans and life on Earth is like. And the unicorn has to help the family who actually gets him using the claw machine, because the claw machine is designed to just kind of take your money and not let you get the stuffed animals. But the animal who brings, the family who brings the unicorn home from the claw machine, has a little girl, and she just loves this stuffed animal. And they also have a dog that knows unicorn is not what, not a normal stuffed animal, and has tried throughout the story to get rid of the unicorn in different ways. So there's a secondary storyline taking place throughout, and it's written like it's a diary. So day one, day two, and there are different observations that the unicorn has about people and life on Earth, and whether it would be a good spot for unicorns to come to. And so it's really fun and silly, and it's neat to get a perspective on kind of the weird things that we do as humans, and yet at the end it's very touching and heartwarming as well. So this one is called Invasion of the Unicorns.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to read that one. And all I kept thinking is now I want to see a sequel where the dog goes to visit the unicorn planet.
Yes,
Right? Right?
exactly. I think that's brilliant. If it doesn't come, you should write that.
Oh my gosh, I'll have to email the author, right?
Yep, for sure.
Well, the first picture book I have to share today is completely different from that one. It's called Everybody in the Red Brick Building by Ann Winter, and it's illustrated by Ogi Mora. Now, everyone in the Red Brick Building is asleep until baby Izzy wakes up and howls. And what follows is a cacophony of noise and activity that just should not be taking place in the middle of the night. Surprisingly, it is the sounds of the city and the street below them and the nature that surrounds them that helps kind of lull everyone back to quieting down for the night. Now, this story is fun and engaging, but partnered with the magnificent collage illustrations of Ogi Mora, this is one of my favorite books so far of 2021. So, Everyone in the Red Brick Building.
That's perfect. I love it. And who hasn't been awakened in the middle night by something?
Hopefully not this much noise and chaos, but
right, right. But everybody can relate, and that's so
Yeah,
fun. I love
absolutely.
that. And it sounds like those illustrations are perfect. So the next book I have takes place kind of another fantasy. It's Hole in the Zoo by Chloe and Mick Inkpen, and you go through the days of the week. So something happens on Monday, something happens on Tuesday, all the way through. And there's a little bit of rhyming text throughout, which is unexpected because the words themselves don't look like they would rhyme, but the way they sound when you're reading them, they do rhyme. And you get introduced to different animals throughout. So this family lives in an apartment, number 2, and there's a hole in their wall. And it actually is a hole from the zoo. So on every one of the different days of the week, other animals from the zoo come to their apartment. So a wallaby and flamingos, even penguins, 10 tree frogs, and you're going through some of the numbers as well. And eventually there's so many animals that have come through the hole from the zoo to this apartment that the zookeeper has to come over and say, hey, all the animals have to come back to the zoo. And then the kids in the story miss the animals from the zoo, and the hole in the wall did not get closed. So they end up going back through the hole in the zoo to go back to be with their friends. And so it's just this fun romp through the zoo and apartment living. And you could never have an elephant come through a hole in the wall to be in your apartment. But in this book, you can. And it's just so much fun to see all the different animals. There's a giraffe and a pelican and orange monkeys. It's just such a fun story. So it's called Hole in the Zoo.
What would you want to come through the hole?
I would not mind a giraffe. I think they're just so ridiculous looking and they're so fun.
I
just
love
love
the
them.
giraffes. I just love
Yeah.
the giraffes too. I know, absolutely. Well, my next picture book If you can tell over here, one of my favorite authors is Chris Houghton, and his newest story is called Maybe. It's about these three little monkeys, and their mama tells them to stay put because there's tigers, and she wants them to be safe. But the problem is they also realize that there's tigers, but there's also mangoes. So maybe they could just come look at the mangoes. But what do you think happens next? In Chris Houghton's style, there's repetitive parts of the story that add to the anticipation of what is to come and help you kind of guess a little bit, maybe anticipate, maybe do some predicting as to what's to come. But make sure you pay special attention to the details in the pictures, because part of the story is in those pictures, and parts of the story that aren't in the words that are important to the story are in those pictures. So pay attention to all the details in the whole picture. Anyway, there's so much fun. Chris Houghton, I can't wait to take this one out and share it with some classes that I visit. So Maybe by Chris Houghton.
It sounds perfect. I love the idea of paying attention to the details that are in the pictures, because oftentimes that's a big part of the story that's being told.
Oh yeah.
Similar to what you just shared, I have one called Hey, and it's a colorful mystery. It also takes place in the ocean, and the author is Kate Reed, who wrote One Fox, a counting book thriller. And in this book, it's a colorful mystery because you're going to go through the different colors that you find on the rainbow, and some of them how they mix together and make different colors like pink, and then different animals that you'll recognize from favorites that we have, like whales and sea turtles and clownfish. But it's a colorful mystery because, just like in the other book that my friend Julie was talking about, this one has a lot going on in the pictures, and you have to kind of predict and figure out what's happening in the pictures. But everything is quiet in the deep blue sea, and Pinkfish comes up and says, "Hey, does anybody want to play?" But everybody's busy in the ocean doing their own things, and so no one's paying attention to Pinkfish. So Pinkfish goes into like this cave to kind of amplify its voice, and so he says, "Hey!" And then everybody kind of stops, and they're like, "Oh man, there's something really scary in there. What do we do?" And so all kinds of rumors start happening, because all the fish are like, "Well, what could be hiding in there?" And it turns out to be something like they just are coming up with amazing and fantastical ideas of what could be hiding, and have such a big voice. And you see a red octopus, blue shoalfish, purple pufferfish, and then they all decide that it's important to hide. And so they all go into this really dark area to hide. And then there's a little bit of a mystery because everybody's gone because they're hiding, and Pinkfish is like, "Where did everybody go?" And then you find out where everybody went, and that's what part of the mystery is. So I can't tell you, because I want you to read this story and find out where they all were hiding and what was so scary. But this book also introduces you to how to mix colors at the very back, and a color wheel, which has the red and yellow, orange and green, and the blue, and all the different shades, and how to make something lighter or darker by adding white or black if you're talking about paint. And so, hey, a colorful mystery introduces you to a lot of different colors and how to make them and be creative with them. And it's just a fun little mystery. I loved it.
I look forward to checking that one out too.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up, I'm going in a very different direction because it's much less color, much more simple. So this is a book called Line and Scribble by Deborah Bogrig, illustrated by Pia Valentinis. I want you to look at how the illustrations, see on the cover how the illustrator used just straight lines to make a dog, and a simple scribble to make a cat. Well, the story starts out, I love the fact that it's such a simple idea and it's so creative. Like, it seems so simple, but there's so much to it. Um, we start out the story meeting Line, and Line goes straight through life, as you expect Line to do. Scribble, on the other hand, wanders around just as you would expect Scribble to do. The two don't seem to see eye to eye. They seem to approach life very differently, which brings them into what I perceive as conflict. And the lines and the scribbles join together to create a great big storm. But, ultimately, the two, even though they see the world completely differently, they realize that they both add something different to it, just like we are all different. But we all have something of value and something different to add to the world. So, line and scribble.
I love that. It's so easy to think that what you are putting on paper, drawing, is just little scribbles and it doesn't mean anything. But this book shows you that
It can be
even
so
something
much
simple.
more. I know.
Yeah.
So much more.
Yeah, I loved it. So the next book I have is another fantasy, fun, humorous story, but it's also got some really good concepts in it. Attack of the Underwear Dragon by Scott Rothman. And in this book, a little boy named Cole goes after something that he really, really wants. And he wants to be an assistant knight. So he writes a letter to Sir Percival, who is a knight, and he wants to be trained by this knight. And the letter he writes is so sweet, and he just says, "I just want to be given a shot." And so Sir Percival writes back to Cole and says, "Come and be my assistant." And so Cole goes to live with him and learns how to be a knight and all the different things that you have to do, like sword play, and learn how to not get knocked out, and learn how to ride a horse and take care of a horse, and how to get back up after a fight if you don't succeed. And Sir Percival has only one fear, and the fear he has is that the great big underwear dragon will come and attack his kingdom. And so Cole, the assistant, tries to help Sir Percival not be scared of those nightmares and scared of the underwear dragon. And so it does come true. The underwear dragon does come, and they do have to find a way to fight the underwear dragon. And the Cole, the assistant, didn't think he'd be able to do anything to help, but he does come up with some really interesting ideas because he's innovative and he's smart and he goes after what he wants. And so Sir Percival did the right thing by giving Cole a shot at his dreams. And so it's all about dreaming big and doing everything you can, always giving your best, and trying to get your shot. And it's Attack of the Underwear Dragon by Scott Rothman.
That one sounds fun, but kind of inspiring too at the
Yes.
same time. I mean,
Absolutely.
Underwear Dragon. I mean, who's not going to pick that up?
I
Just for the
know.
laugh, right?
Exactly.
Just for the laugh. Okay, so I'm going in a different direction again. And my next story is called Isabel and Her Colores Go to School by Alexandra Alessandri, illustrated by Courtney Dawson. Now, Isabel sees the color in everything. She sees the color in everything she sees and everything she feels and everything she dreams. Well, Isabel is getting ready to go to a new school. Now, everyone at the school speaks English, except Isabel doesn't speak much English. She speaks Spanish. So the night before school starts, she goes to sleep and her dreams are filled with stormy blues and with blizzardy whites, and she just clearly is anxious and stressed about it. I mean, can you imagine going to a school where they didn't speak any English? I would be so nervous. So she goes to school the first day and she really doesn't want to go. She tries to convince her parents not to have her go, but she goes and nothing seems to be going right. She tries to make a friend and just seems to be confused because she speaks Spanish and the new potential friend speaks English. So everything's going wrong. And then the teacher says the magic word. She says coloring. And to Isabel, that sounds like colorear, which means coloring in Spanish. She's so excited and she's able to pull out her crayons and draw magnificent pictures. And this seems to change everything for her because that's the way she connects to the world. And she's able to connect to her new classmates and her teacher through her colors. This is a lovely story of bravery and friendship. And it has bright and engaging illustrations. But the other thing you need to know about it is even though I read this story in English, on every page, all of the words are also in Spanish. So you can read this book in English and in Spanish. And it's fun to see how the English translates back and forth. And I can't wait to share this with my daughter who is studying Spanish in college.
That's wonderful. I love that it has both the Spanish and the English right next to each other. We have lots and lots of schools in our area that are Spanish immersion. And so it's easy for parents then to enjoy reading with their student who is
Absolutely.
learning Spanish, because both languages are there. That's wonderful. Sounds like a beautiful story. Can't wait. Well, I think we have time for a couple more books. So this one I want to share with you is called Blizzard by John Rocco. And all of us, well, adults anyway, can remember when people would talk about the big snowstorms and how we got snow and it just accumulated over and over and over again. And the snow was that high. So this book is about a blizzard that took place and what this little town did, and a little boy, when he got kind of tired of just being cooped up inside after days and days and days of this snow falling and the snow plows not being able to clear the roads and people running out of food or different supplies and things like that. And the pictures in here are just wonderful. And in the middle of the book, there's even a page that folds out and folds out. So this large picture of all the neighborhood just covered in snow and what this little boy did to go from this neighbor's house to climb the tree to be a lookout and then to go over here and do an angel in the snow, and what somebody needs. He brings his sled and he's going to make his way to the grocery store, and people need coffee or they need peanut butter. And so he joined in a snowball fight on the way, and then he makes it to the grocery store and is able to buy those things for his neighbors and carry things on his sled back to everybody. And it's such fun pictures to see what they're doing with all of the snow, and that together we can survive anything, even a big blizzard. And such a fun story about the blizzard of 1978. I know that was a long time ago, and we haven't had a lot of snow yet. But I think this year we'll probably get some big snows that will maybe, shut down school or, make it so that the snowplows have to come out so the roads are safe. But such a fun story.
I know. Love snow days.
Me too.
I love
Me
snow
too.
days. That's a fun one. It looks like we're running out of time, but can I sneak in one more?
Yes,
I'm going to
absolutely.
sneak one more in. I have a book that's brand new called Change Sings by Amanda Gorman. The
Love
pictures
that.
are by Lauren Long. Amanda Gorman made history in 2017. She was named the very first Youth Poet Laureate of the United States. But then she topped that earlier this year in January. She was the very youngest poet ever to read. She wrote her poem, The Hill We Climb, at the inauguration of President Biden. And she was the youngest poet ever to read at an inauguration. Well, she just came out with this book called Change Sings. And the illustrations are absolutely magnificent, but it really truly is an anthem to the change that children can make in the world. Because I know sometimes we feel like I'm just one person or I'm just a kid, or I'm just all on my own. I can't do that much. But I will tell you what, it even points out that just a single act of kindness can make such a huge difference in the person who's receiving the kindness. So if you are ready to be inspired, Change Sings is the book for you.
I can't wait to get my copy. I have a hold on it. I can't wait. It sounds amazing. I can't wait.
It is just beautiful. Well, I have so many more books I want to share, but I think we're about out of time, Joanne. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we'll get together another time and we'll talk about our favorite books, I'm sure.
That would be great. And in the meantime, our friends out there should come visit us at the branches or
Or at the
visit
bookmobile.
you at the bookmobile.
That's
Thanks for
right.
joining us today, friends.
We'll see
Goodbye.
you. Bye.